chaos. Wicked witches. Trusting the unknown. Welcome to the Nonsense in the Chaos. I'm your host, Jaylee Rose. It's an absolutely stunning, sunny afternoon. I've been blown away by how gorgeous April has been, because it's normally a tricksy month, but for some incredible reason, it's decided that this year it's going to be sunny and glorious all month. Touching wood, Beltane's going to be stunning, which is in a week and a half's time, which is a little bit scary, but also really exciting. We're settled into the house. I think I used to be a squatter, as you know from previous podcasts. And so my training from being a squatter is to make a house nice as quick as possible, because I was used to the fact that I might get thrown out of a space within 6 weeks. And so every time I moved in somewhere, I'd always get everything out as quickly as possible and make everywhere lovely and make it homely. I do it in every hotel I go to. You know, I've just lived out of a bag for so long that I always make my space habitable and nice and unpacked immediately. And that's what I've done here. So basically, where I'm at, there's still chaos. Like if you're watching the video of this, you can see the space. And I need to Instagramify somehow where I am. At the moment, I'm doing everything from my chair, which I do love. I love this chair because it does feel like a trophy from beating the multimillionaires. So from, them trying to do a government coup on me and me basically being the instrumental reason for them failing. They left, and when one of them left, they sold a load of their furniture and I got this chair. So I feel sort of like I'm sat in a throne of power, sitting in this like posh person's office chair that I thwarted. So that's satisfying. And I've got I've got a nice big table to my left where I'm going to use it as a craft table, but it's also, what would be ideal is if I could set up a kind of sound studio area that was all soundproofed and made it less echoey, because I've got a window in front of me, and I definitely need to make it better sound quality. I want to make it a better sound quality experience for you, the listener, darling, lovely listener. So I need to try and do that. And then I also need an altar area and somewhere where I can sit and do ceremony. But I feel like I need to be on the floor for that. So I need to kind of create a space. So I don't know. There's going to be an ongoing project of trying to make it work. The last house was definitely the best house I've ever lived in. I absolutely loved it. It was so private and it was exactly the right size. You know, me and Diz could talk to each other, whichever room we were in, and everything was just easy to get to and reach. And, you know, it was like one room really. It was two big rooms right next to each other with a kitchen and a bathroom off them. And it was just the right size for us. And our bed was the right size for us. And we cuddled every night and we talked to each other through, you know, whatever we were doing. We were always in each other's space. Whereas now we phone each other. We're so far apart. Even in the bed, we bought a king size, super king size bed, which I think I mentioned in a previous podcast, because the brilliant Chris Parks said that I deserved a 4-poster bed, or words to that effect. And it made me think about that. And then when I was looking for beds for the house, because we had moved from a 1-bedroom house to a 4-bedroom house, so it was like, okay, we need some other beds. And I was looking for some beds and I saw a 4-poster bed. And the one that we had was very comfortable and very pleasant. But as soon as I saw this one, first of all, what Chris had said was there at the forefront of my mind, but also because it's a modern design, so it's not one that I would have gone for off the shelf, but because it was cheap and through marketplace secondhand. And I also thought about the mosquito net situation, because we were always getting tangled up in our mosquito net, but we're right next to a pond here, so we definitely, in fact, the name of our house means meadow by the pond, which is nice. And so I knew that we would need thorough mosquito netting. And that's what we got. So we got this 4-poster bed. We then got a square 4-poster bed fly net, a mosquito net, and it's brilliant and it works and it covers the whole bed, so we can just relax and we can spread out. But it's a huge bed and it means that we're nowhere near each other anymore, and I miss him. Like, I actually miss my husband. We just so spread out. It's going to take us a little while to, I feel like goldfish in a goldfish bowl, it takes a bit of time. They fill the size of the bowl, and at the moment we're still used to our small intimate space, and we need to kind of spread out into this big space. But it is incredible. And being like, so we're up on a slope because it's in a valley, and so our patio is raised above the garden, and then the house is raised. So when we look out of our windows, we're at the same height as the top of the trees, and they're big trees, they're proper trees. And so I'm looking out at blossom and birds, and I'm just surrounded by birds. It's incredible. And we bought some fruit trees, which we're planting. So we've got a damson, an apricot, and a plum tree. And we've got 3 apple trees already. And a wisteria, which is blooming and covered in flowers, that are going to grow around the house. What else are we doing? We've got people camping for Beltane. So we're going to have loads of people camping in our garden, which I'm really excited about. But it's a lot to try and get organised and sorted. We've got a lot to try and get done in the next week and a half. Oh God, it feels sort of in hand, but it's also really scary. It's like, oh my God, there's so much to do. And yeah, just trying to get help from people to do it. It's a bit arduous, but trying to get blood from a stone. I don't know. I really enjoy doing it, but it does feel like every year it's just me doing it. I have some people who help, and they all kind of come together at the last minute and do it. But in the whole run up to it, I'm like, hello? I'm just going to do this on my own, which isn't very good leadership, because I obviously haven't inspired people to help me, which is my fault. I need to take that to myself. But I don't really know what to do about it. Yeah, I don't know. I was sort of hoping that I was going to hand it over to the community generally at some point, but that doesn't feel like that's going to be possible. So it's either I do it or it doesn't happen. And I don't know. I enjoy it at the moment. I mean, I say that, I don't really. It's just really hard work. It's really hard work, and it's quite thankless, as is everything. And I think, with the menopause, it is sort of making me want to just not bother with anything and just be like, well, sod it. I'm just going to do stuff for me. Maybe that is what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll stop doing I don't know. I like doing the mad, big, crazy things, though. I like them happening. And if I don't put them on, then they don't happen. But yeah, maybe I'll just be a writer and concentrate on my own stuff, doing the podcast and writing and that kind of thing, and stop doing stuff for other people, which makes me sad. I mean, it would still be for other people, because obviously doing the moon ceremonies is for other people, and the writing is for other people. Once it gets out there, you're giving it away. But it just takes me to do it rather than relying on other people. And yeah, so I don't know. It's just some musings that have just happened in my head as I've been thinking. I don't know. I'm going to be speaking differently after the festivals happen, because everyone will suddenly have helped and done all the things, and it will have all come together, and I'll be like, oh yeah, actually I love everyone and it's great. But it's just it's like a week and a half from the festival, and there's been a glimmer of support from people. Last year it was like the last month people started supporting, which was slower than the year before, but this year is basically the festival's about to happen, and some people have not bothered coming to any of the meetings, or so I don't know. I don't even know if they've done the things they said they were going to do. I'm just going to have to trust that they have, because they haven't told me that they have. Who knows? But anyway, I'm sure it will all come together. I am loving being in this house and being in this valley, and yeah, that's all unfolding. So it feels like the universe is very much pulling me towards developing my energy work, because obviously this valley has this energy in it, and it's pulled me to it. It's created me being here. And that whole thing that I say of trusting the universe, I trust the universe. So I joined the government because I had 2 people ask me to do it, and one of them just thought that I'd said yes to the other person, and so they just thought it was a given that I was going to do it. And that I walked away from that second conversation, was like, well, that feels like the universe telling me to do this, so I should, and did. And it's been really great. And I helped save the island from the most recent peril that it went through. So that felt like an achievement. And, I've done my bit. I did my bit for the education system and rejigged that, which was a poison chalice, which I took on and did and got it sorted. It's going through another phase of whatever it's going through at the moment, but when I left in February, everything was sorted and was working well. Done my bit with that, and it felt like the right thing to do. And now the universe is asking me to do energy work and to learn about energy work. So it's brought me to this valley. I need to look at and think about how to clear the space and clear the atmosphere here, which has already begun with the Astara immersion weekend, us doing a bit of a healing energy thing that we sent out in the space. I smudged the hell out of the whole place as soon as I got here. But then also it just feels different. It does feel really different, especially since I came back from Jersey, actually. I went away to Jersey and just had such an amazing time with those beautiful people, the McDonald's. I love them. Thank you for having me. I hope that you're listening, because I did tell them about the podcast. So if you are listening, sending you huge love. It was such a wonderful experience staying with them. And yeah, it just seemed to lift, I think, just having a bit of a break from everything here. Came back and suddenly everything felt a lot lighter. But I also reached out to a friend of mine who is an energy worker who supported me with the COP26 pilgrimage. And it was such a useful thing. Like, she got in touch with me before I set off and said, I want to be a support battery for you, because you're the center of the energy battery for the group. But it's for us to be there to support you. And I was just like, thank you, I really appreciate that. And they were like, yeah, we'll be your kind of like battery pack. And I was like, okay, that sounds amazing. And it really works. Like, just knowing that there was a group of people supporting me from afar and like sending this positive energy to me. And they were doing ceremonies and like connecting, like having, Zoom calls and meeting up and doing Zoom calls and ceremonies together, and then feeding back what had come through. It just really helped. Like, it was such a powerful, useful thing, and I really appreciated it. So that was amazing. And I've had someone basically reach out to me and kind of ask me to do the same thing for them, because they're in a bit of a weird situation where they feel like there's actually a group of people working against them negatively. And so they've asked for support for some positive energy. And it's just interesting that I've been asked to do that at the same time as moving here and feeling a bit like I need support with tackling the energy that's in this valley. And so I reached out to the woman who'd created my battery pack group for COP, and we're going to have a Zoom call and catch up and chat about stuff, and see whether she's able to help me, because I think it would be really useful. And I'm just really interested in how to do this work and to be of service in this kind of way, because it's not something I was looking to do. It's not something that I've noticed being in my, orbit until it became in my orbit. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm being pulled towards this thing and I'm being asked to explore it, even though I don't know what that means. I don't know what it is, but I'm up for giving it a go and seeing what that does. Yeah, it's interesting. It definitely feels bit scary, but also, well, I'm up for it. I'm a strong, powerful person. I feel like I can explore. I don't know. I feel like as long as I've got the right support, that it should be something that's done in a protected and a supported way. So yeah, I'm gonna go down that road and see what happens. And then, yeah, just feeling into the menopausal new world that I'm living in. Something that's made a massive difference, which has been extraordinary, is one of my best friends has just moved to Sark, which was very much out of nowhere, in that I hadn't tried to make her move here. It was just, she's reached a point in her life where there was a space for her to be able to do anything. Like, she'd quit a job and was just like looking for something to do. And she's like, well, why don't I come and do a season working in Sark, because she's a chef and she's an amazing chef. And so I helped to get a job here, and she's here to work for the summer. And there's a good chance you might fall in love with the place and not leave, which we've been joking about since the whole thing began. You don't come here and then leave, generally, if you love it. Like, people come for the summer and do seasonal work here, but they're normally young people in their 20s who are then going off to university. But if you love it here, you love it and you don't leave. So I think there's a good chance you might end up staying here, which I'd be very much up for. But it's been so interesting to notice how my energy has completely shifted, having someone here who I know is a stand for me and has my back, because obviously Diz does, and there are lots of people over here who do. I've got some lovely friends, especially in Guernsey. There are people on Sark as well, but yeah, like, it's not the same as having people that you've grown up with and spent your whole, not most of your life, like 20 years, whatever, knowing each other, supporting each other, being a stand for each other. It's weird moving here because obviously to some extent I'm an immigrant in this situation, and so I'm like muscling my way into groups of people that have known each other forever and are in that kind of relationship with each other, and I'm just here on my own, sort of like trying to figure things out and trying to be of service and connect with people and develop those relationships. And sometimes, you know, you put people's noses out of joint. It's weird because here, more than elsewhere, you're meeting people and brushing up against people that you wouldn't necessarily get on with or connect with in the UK, but your paths wouldn't have crossed. But it's weird. It's like a weird mix of people. Like, you're in a different kind of mix here. It's much more of a all-together mix, which means that actually some of the people you connect with are from groups of people you wouldn't normally have met, and some people who are in the kind of group you do hang out with you don't actually connect with. And it's weird. Like, it's just like, oh, I don't know why. Like, it's not in Brighton, I got on with everyone. I didn't really have any issues with people. I mean, I guess there was a few instances where, like, working in collaboration, I always find if money gets involved, it always makes things a bit tricky. Actually, that's probably true even over here. The times where relationships have gone a bit weird has mainly been money-based situations. Money just makes things weird. Sad. Well, I mean, I'm not going to live in that reality anymore. That's old news, but it's something that I have found in the past, that it can make relationships sour, which is a shame. It's a shame, isn't it? It's like, it shouldn't do, but it does. It's to do with energy. It's you feeling like you're putting in more energy than the person is, or vice versa. And so it's just trying to make sure that you both are on the same page as to what you think that energy's worth, I guess. I mean, and that's really arbitrary. So yeah, it's quite tricky. It's a tricky one, money, when it comes to that sort of thing, working in collaboration with each other. It's why it's really good to have like clear contracts and that sort of thing, which I never have. I'm way too chaotic for that kind of thing, but it would be good if there were. And it's a lesson that I've learned many times, but I seem to keep carrying on learning. But yeah, I think if you were in Brighton and you had that kind of experience and things went a bit sour, you may avoid them, or you work, I don't know, your circles are bigger and you can kind of move away from people for a bit and then come back together again when you're in a bit less of a prickly place. Whereas here, you just sort of keep seeing each other and there is nowhere to hide or like be away from each other. So yeah, it just feels like everything's always a bit more raw and present, which has been life enhancing. It's been enriching in terms of learning that. But that's why it's so nice to have a friend come over who is such a solid friend. It's quite extraordinary how much it's made my nervous system calm and just feel like someone's got my back and is going to help me. Like, she's helped with the house and has helped with cleaning, and she cleaned out the fridge and has done cooking and has cooked for me. And we're just going to have such an amazing summer. We're going to have so much fun, and then at the same time be helped and supported and looked after and loved and backed up and high-fived and all these things. And it just feels really nice to have that. So that's made me feel a lot more capable. So yeah, I feel actually on top of it all again now, which is good. I feel rejuvenated, but definitely going to Jersey and staying with the McDonald's helped with that. So I just met another wonderful family. I do collect cool families and I loved the McDonald's. They're brilliant. I'm going to send them a gift to say thank you for putting me up, because it was so it was so great to meet them. And it was just really interesting to be in a family of artists where they're all backing each other up and supporting each other. And one of them was doing an exhibition, and they all participated in helping her get her speech finalised. And then they all saw the results of what she did, and it was awesome. And they did a big chat at the end, like, say, you know, I saw all of the kids at one point, and they're all grown up, so all my age kind of, but I spoke to all of them at some point because they did video calls with all of them, so they're all just in constant communication with each other, and it just felt really special. And like my friend Ellie, who's moved here, or Eleni as we're going to call her, because there's already an Ellie on the island, so to avoid confusion, and because her name actually is Eleni, we're going to call it Eleni, but because Eleni's from an awesome family who are just a group of characters and are so intense but also intensely best mates with each other, and so much fun to be around, and I adore them, and I love them. And then we've got the Wilsons, who's another family that I really enjoy and I'm close to, and then there's the Lloyds, who are absolutely like brethren to me. So the Lloyds and the O'Briens, which is Eleanor's family, are family to me. Wilsons I'm slightly on the outskirts of, but I'm friends with all of them, like good mates with all of them. And then now I found the McDonald's as well. I'm like, oh, I want to keep you. You're great. So yeah, it was so much fun to go to Jersey, and it was an honour to be celebrant for John and Grace's wedding. To see all my lovely friends over in the Channel Islands was such a joy as well, and to be hanging out in the Channel Islands with people that I don't get to see very often. One of the people I don't think I'd seen for 10 years, we worked out, which is mad. Just with the whole pandemic blip, it's just suddenly jumped forwards a whole chunk of time, and I've been here 6 years, so it's mad, isn't it? Time absolutely flies. I look at photos of Diz when we got together now, and he looks so young. He was really young, but it just seems weird that I've been here long enough for him to look different now than he did then, but obviously 6 years is ages, so yeah, he does look different. And I feel so ready for the summer, ready for us to have a great celebration of the beginning of summer with Beltane, and to have all the awesomeness of the festival and connections and creativity and loveliness, and to party here at the house, and then for that to be the beginning of us just partying. We've actually got some musicians staying here tonight who are overplaying some folk music at the old hall, and that's the first time that we've had people come and stay here. And I really want to be a good host, because Xenia is extremely important to me. It's something that I have grown up with my whole life. Like, my family were very normal. Like, it's funny that I'm so attracted to these oddball families, because my family were normal and also odd in a way. When people met them at the wedding, they were all surprised at how straight they were. But then in the environments that I grew up in, like I grew up on a council house on a really busy road in Essex, in Braintree, and out the back was a football stadium, and there was the car park to the sports club and the football stadium behind our garden. And that's where we played. We played in our back garden, and we played in the car park. And my bedroom was lit up by the football lights of an evening, and I had go to sleep to the sound of football fans cheering and shouting. And amongst that row of houses, which was where we knew our neighbours, my parents, my mum and dad, who were both 21 when they had me, seemed weird because they took us to stately homes at the weekend, and they helped us make creative things like we would always do, because my mum was really interested in teaching, what's it called, the science of teaching, somethingology, can't think of what the word is, but that's her bag. And so she was always using creative play to teach me and my brother. And my dad was a want-to-be artist. He's always been creative. He's always doing different things. He does pottery, he does painting, he's really good at drawing, and graphic design. Like, he'll just get into a thing and would do it for a while and then gets into another thing. But he never made a career out of it. I mean, he was sort of doing graphic design a bit in some of his jobs, but yeah, he's never really made a career out of it. But he's always been extremely creative, and that was weird. Our creativity and educational atmosphere, or activities, I suppose is the word, and reading, like we read constantly, like that was all weird for the world that we were in. And then when we moved to the Wimpy housing estate, and my parents then split up, and it was just me, my mum and my brother, and my mum let us smoke in the garage, and so we had the garage where all the kids were allowed to come and smoke, which was also extremely cool and a bit weird. And so didn't seem very straight. Like, people in Essex wouldn't think of our family as being straight. They'd think of us as being actually kind of one of the most kooky families. But compared to, I don't know, outside of that environment, we seem quite straight because we seem like quite normal suburban people rather than like kooky middle class people. I don't know. But anyway, we were weird in our natural setting. Don't remember why I was talking about that now. Why was I talking about that? Don't remember. Anyway, yes, the menopause. I think I was talking about the menopause at some point. But yes, Xenia, that was why I was talking about it. Yes, so because we had the garage, my mum and my family were very good hosts. You know, we looked after people and it was a safe space and people could be there and hang out. Yeah, it was the place where the teenagers they all talked to my mum and that kind of thing. And then obviously all of the pilgrimages, but also prior to that, I lived on the road for 7 years with the Nomadic Academy of Fools, and we toured Europe and the UK solidly for 7 years, and we were put up and looked after then. So I have had and received so much Xenia in my life. What is Xenia? I don't think I told you. Xenia is the name for Zeus's. A way of worshipping Zeus was to be a good host, and it was called Xenia, and Xenia was his most precious thing. So if you refuse Xenia, then you would bring the wrath of Zeus down upon you. But you really pleased Zeus by being a good host, and that's what I'm happy that I'm able to do here now, because we have the space. You know, I've not had a house where we've had a guest room before, and so to be able to be like, yeah, come and stay, like, and we can make it comfortable for you, and you'll have a nice room to be able to hang out in, and we'll, you know, feed you and look after you, and that feels really precious to me. Something that I'm very pleased that if this is the house that we're going to spend the rest of our lives in, that it's somewhere that's possible for me to do that, and that's really important to me because I feel like I owe a great deal of Xenia to the balance of the universe. So I will enjoy being a host to people, and it's something that I want to do well. So yeah, that's something that feels important at the moment. And God, blimey, my brain. I do apologise. It also doesn't help that I actually recorded this whole podcast yesterday, and then for some reason the sound didn't record. So it was just a 45-minute video of me manoeuvring around chatting but with no sound, and so I can't remember now what I said then and what I'm saying now, and it's made it even more confusing than it was before. I wasn't going to tell you that I'd recorded it already because I thought, I don't need to tell them that, but I've just made that such a kerfuffle. I feel like I need to explain why that's just confusing, because I talked about Xenia last night, and then I just realised that I hadn't talked about it now, and then I forgot what I was talking about. The joys of the menopausal brain. I think it's time to pull a rune. If you enjoy this podcast, then please consider supporting me on Patreon, which is patreon.com/Jolie Rose. I got an exciting notification through from the host that I put my podcast up through, and told me that I had 5,000 downloads, which means I've had 5,000 people download my podcasts, and that feels amazing, and I'm really chuffed to have reached that many people. So thank you, and thank you for being here. And I just, you know, if each of those 5,000 people were able to support me with 50p a month, then that would be more than enough for me to live on, and I wouldn't have to be a barmaid anymore. And as much as I enjoy being a barmaid, because it does get me out of the house, I would love to be able to just focus on my work, and it's something that I would actually really appreciate being able to do. Like I say, I mean, part of me wants to put on there's 2 festivals that I have said I'm going to put on next year, which after Beltane's finished, I will need to start making happen. But part of me doesn't want to as well. I don't know. I just need to see how I feel after Beltane. It just might be that I need to let that go and not do it. It might be that I need to just focus on writing and podcasting and ceremonies, and that's what I do. And if I was receiving support via Patreon from enough people for that to just be what I did, that would be heaven. It really would, and I would be able to put all my time and energy into improving what I do, and, you know, making things look beautiful, and just trying to give as best a sort of service as I can to the people that follow me and support me, and hopefully get something out of this. I just am sharing what wisdom there is in me. We all have wisdom, we all have medicine to share, and I'm just sharing what I've learned along the way. And I do think I have a slightly unique perspective on life because I have lived quite a strange life and I've met a lot of amazing people, and so that's why I really love sharing those people with you and delving into their medicine and their insights. And I channel wherever I can whatever's coming through, the elements or the archetype of the moon energy that's coming through, whatever it is that is happening. I'll try and create space for it to come through so that I can share that with you. And I just hope that it's useful. And if it is, and you're getting something out of it, and it does help in some way, then if you're able to support me to keep doing it and to do it better and to do it with more ease without the pressure of all the other things that I try and do, then just 50p, a pound, whatever you're able to do a month makes a difference. And if everyone did it, then that would be more than enough for me to get by on. Just putting that out there, if you're able to, that would be amazing. And coming up will be the Which Fool Are You course. I'll start advertising that after Beltane is finished. That'll be towards the end of May that it will begin, and that is supporting people to find their archetype, which is something that you hear about now. It's in the collective consciousness now, but when I started teaching this 7 years ago, at least I think it was, but maybe 7, no one was talking about it. No one knew anything about this kind of thing. And what I would say is I've still never seen anyone talking about archetypes and teaching archetypal work in the way that I am, apart from Jonathan Kay, who is my teacher. But even so, I've taken what he taught me and I've delved into that particular element deeper. So he's the most like it out of anyone else, but still, no, what I do is unique, and I've found it incredibly useful. It's given me permission, it's given me a guideline, it's given me a list of tools and atmospheres and just things that belong to me. Like what is it that's mine? Who do I represent on earth? What role am I playing here? And therefore, what permission do I have to be X, Y, or Z? That I'm here being that thing. So therefore, what tools come with it? What atmospheres and textures and costumes and all the rest of it? What goes with this thing? That all belongs to me, and to see it and own it and stand in it in your power is just a wonderful thing. Really, it is the most profound work that I do, and I love it. I've got some other work that I'm going to start doing as well. Circle plays is something I'm going to be bringing to the table, but I'm not quite there yet, and I need to put that on the back burner until I'm a bit more out of the Beltane woods. But this is deep work, and I offer it with love and compassion and excitement. It's something that you will get so much from it. And I've seen people go through huge changes from doing this work. It's my offering that will be coming up next month. So putting that out there, if you were interested, then get in touch with me, nonsenseatthechaos@gmail.com, and I can send you some more information. If anyone wants to come to Beltane, then it's Saturday the 2nd of May. So it's in a week and a half's time. There are just 18 tickets left, I think. So if you do want to come, then you need to grab those quick. But it's going to be amazing. The weather's saying it's going to be scorching. Going to burn a wicker man. Loads of amazing bands. Loads of incredible healing workshops and offerings. So come along if you're able to. Now on with the show. Okay. How apt. So this is Othlaz, which is the rune of the homestead. So it's kind of everything I've just been talking about. It's an enclosed space, a diamond with the lines carrying on, so it kind of makes like a courtyard outside. So it's like a fish. It's like the sign of the Christian fish, but it's seen upright. So it's like a diamond with 2 legs, and it's like the homestead with a courtyard. So it's ancestry. It's your home, your family, And that is interesting that that's come up because we've just had like a million planets in Aries. And I was looking in my chart. I'm going to have a look now and see what it says. Yeah, it's the 4th house. So I was looking at my birth chart. If you want to get a free birth chart, there's Astro Cafe, I think it's called, as a website. You can put your birth date and times in and it will tell you, it'll give you your birth chart reading. And it's worth looking at what you have in Aries and what house Aries is in, because that's what's coming up for you at the moment with regards to all these planets being in Aries. You'll be getting challenged in different ways to do with those themes. And mine was all in the 4th house, and the 4th house is the house of ancestors. So ancestry, roots, family legacy. So it's parents, your foundations, basically, your ancestral karma. So yeah, it's interesting because I was kind of like, how is that relevant? Because it doesn't feel like, especially because me being here and being in kind of immigrant mode, I feel very far away from my family and unconnected to my roots. But then having someone like Eleni here, and then I also this week interviewed Saffron, who is my oldest best mate, like my best mate, who I've known since I was 15. She is someone I met through Kentwell, the Tudor reenactment, and she's been with me on my whole life's journey. And the fact that the last week has had Saffron in it and Eleni in it, and how much that's nourished me, and then the fact that we've moved house and me and Diz are like finding our way through our relationship in a new space. And yeah, it's just, there's a lot going on to do with the home. But yeah, it's interesting to think about what sort of ancestry wise, I mean, some of this stuff is like distant, you don't know, it's below the surface, if you get what I mean. It's not necessarily literal. Like my ancestors are mainly from a peat bog in Ireland. So my granddad's family grew up in Mayo, but in a place opposite, on the mainland opposite Achill. So there's a little island called Achill off of Ireland, and the land is high up and then it drops like a cliff, and then it becomes a peat bog, and then there's the sea, and then there's Achill, which is also raised up like a mountain. And so this peat bog was really interestingly beautiful in that it was surrounded by all these towering cliffs all around it. Achill was like a mountain and the cliffs to the side were like a mountain, but then just this flat sort of almost sea level peat bed was where they built a cottage. Obvious place to set up home, and that's where they lived, and there was 15 brothers and sisters. But there's no record, or there's no way of knowing anything about those people, like if they were creative or what they were like. I don't know if they were musicians. I don't know anything about them. I mean, my granddad was an amazing storyteller. Every time he told a story, it was bigger and brasher and weirder and sillier than the time you heard it before. And he was always totally over-exaggerating everything, and which I've inherited in droves. And yeah, he was just a lot of fun. He was a lot of fun. And then my nan, his wife, my mum's mum, she was second generation Irish. So her parents were from Kinsale in the south of Ireland. They were a lot more like trying to be respectable Irish people. They owned shops. They owned some bicycle shops, a couple of bicycle shops in Braintree. And so my family were, very established Braintree, Essex people. They'd been there for a long time. So some of them were Irish, but they'd married local people that had been there for hundreds of years. And so my family are also Iceni and Trivavanti in terms of tribes. So they're my people, that part of the UK. And but they're all working class people. They're peasants, so there isn't any records of them, anything about them. I know that there was two family incidences where the girl got pregnant young, and so she secretly gave birth, and her mum brought up the baby pretending that it was hers. So the mum was the sister of the baby was brought up thinking the mum was a sibling, but actually was the mum. And we don't know if either of them knew. So there was a generation in between them, but it happened twice in the family line, and we don't know if they knew about each other, which they really might not have done. So that's interesting. It's something that happened twice in our family lineage, people pretending that their child was their sibling. And then on my dad's side, he's it's much more conservative. My grandpa again was Irish, but he and Liverpudlian. I think they've been there a generation or two, and he was a Tory councillor and pretended to be very Middle England posh. They like bought antiques and lived in a thatched cottage and was very keeping up appearances. And he married my grandma, who was adopted, who'd had a really horrible childhood. So there's a bit of a trigger warning here. But she'd been abused by her stepfather, had abused her throughout her childhood. And we didn't know about this until my grandfather died. And then she just suddenly came out and told us. And it made everything make sense in terms of the toxicity or the damage that was in that family line, because they had 4 sons, my dad and 3 brothers, and they'd all kind of gone off the rails in some kind of way, and many of them had ended up being problematic in their behaviour. Not awful people, like definitely not, there were much worse people in the world, but they, in their own ways, they'd all messed up a bit. And then that carried on even into my cousins had a bit of that going on as well, although I think we've done a good job of nipping it in the bud. Our generation have been honourable generally with our behaviour, but it was weird because when I was doing a circle play, which I mentioned earlier, with Jonathan Kay, I finished doing the circle play and he asked me if my grandmother had abused me, which was really weird because I was like, what? Where the hell did you get that from? But he's like, I can see abuse in your inner world. And I had been abused as a child, but that wasn't what I'd performed and it wasn't connected to my grandma. And I was kind of like, well, that was weird. And then when she suddenly told us about her history, it was like seeing a ghost, because it was like, oh my God, that's weird, because Jonathan had seen that in my inner world when I'd performed it in this circle play. So that was weird. The wounds that are passed down from our family are in us, and it shows up in our creativity and flavour, our archetype. So that's what, when you do circle plays, you learn about your archetype, and that's where my training and learning and understanding of archetype came from. So I'm definitely interested in exploring doing circle plays as a practice over here, which I'd like to teach and hold space for. So if that's something you're interested in, then definitely let me know, because I'm really up for doing that. It's very deep work. You basically perform your inner world for up to an hour. Could be longer, could be all day if you wanted to be. We hold the space for you until you have completed your quest. So everyone goes on a quest, and to do that you find out, you think, what's your question? So what's your quest eye on? So what's the question that's sort of playing on your mind at the moment? Like, should I have a family? Where's my husband? Who's sitting in my throne of power? Or no, so that one actually, because that's the example I always give, because there was someone who, her question was, why am I never in my power? And what you do first of all is you ask a question and then you untwist it. With that one in particular, it was like, why am I not in my power? And when we untwisted the question that actually hit, because we do everything from an outer world way, so you need to find the inner world version of it, like the inverse of the question, untwist it, and it will hit this emotional gong, and that's when you know you found your quest eye on. And this one was who sat in my throne of power. And so she went on a quest to go and see who was sat in her throne of power, and she found her dad sitting there, but realised that her dad was her, because it wasn't her real dad, it was her version of her dad in her head. So she played the dad, she played the throne, she played the throne room, and she played the whole thing. And that's what you do, is you play your inner world, and from it you learn something about yourself. And she learned that she just had this idea of her father in her head, and was giving him this power to throw her off her throne, but actually it wasn't really him, and it was just her version of him in her head. And so she took that throne back and she threw him off it, and changed the script. And it does have really profound effects. And I learned about my archetype through doing these performances, and discovered this kind of wound from my family that was in there that I didn't even know about. None of us knew about it, but it all kind of made sense when it came to light. And then healing it, and not passing it on, and not carrying it on, and doing the work that needs to be done to heal that situation, which is great. That's what we're here for. It's like passing on the baton to the next life and the next generation to that's better, leaving things in a better situation than how you found them. That's what it feels like we're doing. So yeah, that's interesting. And it's interesting, this ancestral thing, because it sort of feels like Taurus season is the opposite to Scorpio season. So we actually are coming up to the Scorpio full moon, and it's like Taurus is all about new life and fertility and this sexy energy of life coming into being, and then Scorpio is the like dominatrix, sexy death, S&M version, but they actually are two halves of the same thing. It's a spectrum. And so you have the home and you have the family, and we've got this place that we're living in now, and it's lovely, and yet I can feel the ghosts of the monks, and I've got the feeling of like, we're going to be here for the rest of our lives. So what does that mean? What are we therefore creating? It's more of a commitment than I've ever made to a house before. And yeah, just there's a lot that's in that's different. And so that's it, I'm here now, I live here for the rest of my life. And what does that mean in terms of my connections to my homeland and my family and friends? And yeah, many things come into play with that are different to, I just came here, came here to see what happens, and ended up marrying someone and moving here, but we were renting. And when you're renting, it just feels much more, well, obviously not forever. So to suddenly be sort of forever in a place is a different energy. And obviously you never know what's going to happen. We might not be here forever. We've got no idea how life will play out, but as it stands, that's the situation. And I've never had that before. So yeah, it brings up a lot of new things. So now for a chaos crusade. So my chaos crusade for you this week is to create an altar space. And I'm asking you to do this because it's something I need to do, and I'm going to figure out how to make my altar space work with me sat on the floor. I've kind of set a place up and I've got a space there, but I want to be able to sit on the floor and hold ceremony on the floor in this lovely room. So I invite you to create an altar. Now, altars are, you have a choice to think about, do you want it to be a private enterprise or a public one? So how's your practice going to be? If you want it to be private, get a box, like have a beautiful box that you make a like lovely little altar space in that you can put away and hide. If you are up for it being public, then find a table, find a surface where you can create something. And just as a rule of thumb, the left-hand side is normally the feminine, the goddess, and this would be the elements of earth and water and goblets and so like cups and goblets and bowls for water generally. Just trying to think earth, I mean, I'd have a bowl of salt or flowers or actual earth or crystals and stones, anything that feels earthy to you, eggs. And then for the fire, for the masculine, you'd have the fire in the air, and that's represented with the wands and swords. Left, the way I always remember it is that, you used to get the cane if you were left-handed in convent schools. My mum used to always get the cane for being left-handed. So the left hand is where the devil sits, which is the feminine, and the right-handed is the masculine. So yeah, it's easy to remember. Left side is the feminine, right is the masculine. Also, I read a book once called The Alphabet versus the Goddess, and it was about how you use the right hand for a spear and tunnel vision to follow and pray, and then left hand is like holding baby whilst also hunter-gathering, picking and things. So you'd use both arms, and you would use peripheral vision and peripheral thinking. And so the feminine tends to be holistic and peripheral, and the masculine tends to be focused and right-handed. And when we've learnt reading and writing in any culture, we've gone through a state of madness where we've become more patriarchal. So it's not necessarily like some horrible conspiracy theory. We all sort of collectively go through a state of madness where we become more masculine and negative about the feminine as we become more literate and writing led, because we use tunnel vision and we use our right hand and we follow along the line. Whereas if you're like Egyptians with the hieroglyphs, you're looking at the whole wall and the images, and it's more picture based, and they were more matriarchal. So that was just a theory that I read once in a book, but I thought it was interesting. So that's how I think about the left and right side of things. But with everything to do with this, it's about you being creative. So it's all about acts of creativity. Create whatever you want on your altar. You can put things wherever you like. It's your altar. Do whatever you want. You know, a cathedral and a Bible are amazing things when they're first created. What an amazing act of creation to build a epic cathedral. But when you're still thousands of years later in the same place fighting and killing people over those creations, that's when you've gone wrong. So creating an altar where you change it every 2 weeks to match the moon and, you know, the dark moon and the full moon and whatever sign they're in, and whatever deities speak to you regarding that sign or wherever you're at in your journey, or the wheel of the year, you know, with Beltane and the solstice or whatever it is, for your altar to reflect it and for you to give it a clean and regularly take everything down and put something new on there. But yeah, and you can draw deities, you can draw something to do with the season or intentions for the year, make like a mood board, create some kind of backdrop, which is called an iconostasis, that it can be a collage of things that you put at the back of your altar, or it could be a picture of a deity that you want to sit and draw. But that is an act of creativity and that is an act of magic. So creating an altar and putting images that you've drawn and created on it is the beginnings of you creating magic. Why not? Let's do it. Let's create magic. So that's your Chaos Crusade for this week. And I can't wait to share my interview with Saffron next week. I'm very much looking forward to that. So thank you for being here. I hope you're having a lovely time enjoying the sunshine. And if you're coming over for Beltane, can't wait to see you. It's going to be epic. And yeah, what a lovely time of year. This is my favourite time of year. And I'm feeling much more back in my zone of being able to cope with it all. So thank you for supporting me and being here on this journey. And I shall speak to you next week. See you then on.